Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, and Congressman Mark Pocan on the line, taking your calls for the hour. Congressman, you're still with us?
I'm here.
Great. Okay, Dave in Columbus, Ohio. You are on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
I have a quick question. I know John Conyers introduced a single-payer strategy. Well, what is the philosophy of the Democrats now? Are they still in that old system where they're taking money from insurance companies and HMOs, or have they liberated themselves and now feel that they don't need that kind of money and they can propose legislation that benefits the country?
Sure, Dave. Well, I mean, there have always been a bunch of us who've been sponsors of that bill and some other measures. Jan Schakowsky has one, and other people that have single-payer options. And I think that this debate will make us talk about this again, as we should, as a public, because what the Republicans are putting forward, really, I think what we found from the CBO score has very little to do with providing health care. In fact, we know 24 million people will lose coverage, and the rest of us will all pay more, especially older Americans, out of what they have. So what we're doing right now is trying to make sure that we're fighting that bill as it's coming forward. But the only way, there's two ways for something to get to the floor of Congress. The 99.999% way, which is the speaker puts it there. And then there's a rarely used thing called a discharge petition, where if you get a majority of Congress, 218 people to sign an official petition, I'll call it, on the floor to make something come up, that would bring a vote up. But to be fair, it's hard to get people the majority, even if they agree with you, to sign that petition. I think it's been used only a handful or two of times since like the 1930s or something. We did it once last session, set up by John Boehner as he left, on one bill. So there are plenty of us who talk about this. We think it's important, especially as you look at the complexity that Republicans are trying to have, because they're really not going to make sure everyone has health insurance. But right now, I think the fight is to try to see if we can defeat this in the House and probably more likely in the Senate.
Tyrone in New York City. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hello. How are you? It's a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you.
And it's also a pleasure to speak to you. I'm wondering, I'm on the phone.
Tyrone, your phone is screwed up. I'm going to put you on hold, and Louise, he's on line 5. If you want to pick that up. Darcy in West Palm Beach, Florida. Darcy, you're on with Congressman Pocan.
Hi, I have a statement and a question. My question, or my statement is, not enough people know what Rubio did to make Obamacare fail. And my question is, who would be worse as president, Trump or Pence?
Wow, I get arsenic or
Old lace. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. So let me take one first. I mean, bottom line is, neither of them are someone that I think are fit to be president with the proposals they're putting forward. I just think the unpredictability and the really the lies that we've seen from President Trump and his administration are so problematic that you can't have someone who 4:30 in the morning tweets something out that could set off an international incident. So there's great concern. So we're not advocating for a President Pence. I'm advocating for, if there really were some problems with the election, how do you actually figure out how to make sure that people can actually get heard in a fair way? And so maybe it means both of them wouldn't be here. Of course, that means Paul Ryan. Now you're going to ask me about Paul Ryan, and I can't put a third poison into my system. So to the first point, I think that we've got a lot to do to make sure that we're moving our ideas forward, and realizing that right now it's a tough time on these proposals. So a lot of what we're doing, I guess I'm saying it a little broader, is we're fighting back against the things that they're putting forward, and we can win if people keep doing what they're doing. And that's two things, Tom, and I just think it's worth repeating. Contacting your 2 senators and your member of Congress on a regular basis. And 2, double down with the groups in your local area and nationally that are fighting for the things that you value, that you think are most in jeopardy. And if they have a legal arm, all the better. because that's how we're going to be able to slow down things and stop things if they do pass them. So I'm the part of the Washington arm of the resistance. Everyone else is the resistance in their local communities. But if we all do this together, I think we're going to be in a lot better position.
Tyrone in New York City. You want to try it again?
Yes. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. It's a pleasure to speak to both of you. I was wondering, as a progressive Democrat, why is it we keep allowing these so-called conservative Republicans to cheat and win? And when we get a hold of some kind of leverage, we keep relinquishing it to the people that we know is going to mistreat us and is going to do the most devious things to us. Because what they're doing now, they're just killing us, literally, with their proposals. And I'll wait off the air to hear what you got to say.
Thanks, Tyrone.
So I hope I'm answering it correctly, Tyrone. But I mean, I think the question on how they cheat and win, we do have lots of proposals out there, from everything from the bill we just introduced today to try to make sure that we have more cyber protections around our elections, that we have a paper ballot on every voting machine, that we have random audits of, I think it's 5% of all ballots, to make sure that it's harder for someone to try to do something to affect elections. We have all kinds of measures to make sure that you can vote no matter where you live, because we know in some parts of the country, including unfortunately, my home state of Wisconsin, there have been measures to make it harder for people to be able to vote. We're addressing gerrymandering, where people essentially are politicians picking their voters rather than the other way around. It's supposed to be. And then we're trying to raise the profile of all the things like the interstate cross-check, where people are being dropped off of voting registration polls, to all the other issues that are out there. So we're not allowing, hopefully, anyone to cheat and win, but certainly, we need to fight back on these measures. And this is where the people power works. I mean, I don't care if you're a Democrat, independent, I don't think anyone really, unless you're hyper partisan, wants anyone to be able to cheat in the election cycle. So we just have to keep the pressure on. And like they were going to gut the ethics laws for members of Congress the first day of this session, they didn't, because you all reached out and called people, and we had a big success. We got to keep the people power going.
Rich in Great Falls, Montana. Rich, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I'm a retired Army colonel and rancher up here, and we need soft power funded. I'm ashamed of Rex Tillerson being an Eagle Scout. He's shown no leadership, so we need the soft power. We don't need all the money spent on the military. I got friends in diplomacy, because if we don't have diplomacy, we get people angry at us. We can't trade. We can't defend ourselves. We can't fight the whole world. But let me get to the point about Meals on Wheels, because I know older Republicans who vote Trump, and then they get Meals on Wheels, but has the GOP figured out what it's going to cost to put everybody into nursing homes and warehouse them if they don't fund Meals on Wheels? Because one person living out in their old home on the farm, if they don't have any food or anybody to help them out, they're going to end up warehoused in a nursing home, or worse, in the cemetery. Thanks.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rich, so much. I mean, so I've gone and delivered Meals on Wheels in my community, and I know the people who are getting them. And generally, it's people of lower incomes, it's people who are homebound, who can't get out otherwise. In some ways, we're helping to check to make sure they're okay while they're living independently still. You're right. Otherwise, you're going to have huge costs in nursing homes. Look, Donald Trump's experience with older Americans having meals are people who are dining at Mar-a-Lago. Sorry. I mean, let's just face it. He doesn't understand. I wish he would go and do what I do, where you actually go and see the people and talk to them in their homes. This is vital for them to be able to live independently. So the fact that they're cutting this in a proposal, that instead they're putting $54 billion into defense, shows that this budget does nothing for the middle class and those aspiring to be in the middle class in this country. There's just cuts after cut after cut that are things that affect real people, and the wealthiest are the ones who get off.
There you go. Congressman Mark Pocan taking your calls. You can tweet him at Rep Mark Pocan, REPMARKPOCAN, and his website, pocan.house.gov. We'll be back with more of your calls for Congressman Pocan in just a few moments. Stick around.